Good morning, sunshines.
Good morning. Good morning.
We
It's been
always
a
say
crazy
good
day
morning.
already. Like, I
But if
feel like
you
it
listen,
should be the afternoon
I was
already.
just going to say, and if you're listening in the afternoon or if you're listening at overnight, just replace it with the word that suits you. Because at the end of the day, it's just a greeting. It's just to say hi. I feel like we haven't
Speaking,
recorded in a long time. Like,
again,
I don't know. Maybe it's because I took a vacation.
could be. But you were talking about like saying good morning. And on my way this morning to come here, I stopped at the post office. And I got to the counter after waiting. There were like three people ahead of me when I got in there. And I got up to the counter and I said good morning to the woman. And she was like, "Thank you so much for saying that. You are the first person today to actually say good morning." And I was like, wow, what is wrong with people?
That's pretty tough. I mean, I do understand that the post office, especially for me lately, has been a stressful place. I'm sure you know I had like 6 pieces of mail stolen, which then led to mail fraud, which then led to bank fraud, which then led to turning off a whole bunch of bank accounts, which then led to late fees from everybody. So I understand sometimes people walk into the post office a little bit on edge. And to be honest, sometimes it comes from the other side of the counter too. But that said, I am a good morning person. I love a nice greeting. I think it's just like the easiest way to say, hey, friend, not foe, right?
Yeah. Um, and yes, like it's always possible that someone's having a bad day. Like if if it were one person that didn't say good morning, but the fact that okay, yes, we were in there early. It wasn't like it was like late in the afternoon. I don't know how many clients she had seen, but to think that there were at least three people in front of me when I got there, I'm sure they weren't the first customers either. To know that of however many people before me, even the fact that neither of the three people in front of me said good morning to her. And
Yeah.
I mean, she was not like, she wasn't grumpy, she wasn't anything. And so I'm like, I shouldn't say this, but I'm a little disappointed in humanity. Like, can we bring back the friendliness? Can
I
we?
mean, I think that's exactly it. It's we have to bring back the friendliness, right? Like it's so easy to fall down the rabbit hole of, gosh, everything is just horrible, but man, look at this amazing interaction. And you know that there's a ripple effect that's going to happen because of that, because of a simple good morning. So let's make a pact with our listeners. Everywhere you guys go, you say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hi, how are you? Like give a greeting that just means like peace be with you, right? Like friend not foe. Like I'm here to work with you, not against you, And I think if you're always coming from that true, honest, peaceful place, then what happens after that is out of your control. But at
Yes.
least for that moment, as long as you're being your best self, that's cool. And listen, we're like in the top 1% or whatever of podcasts. So that's a lot of people doing a
Well,
lot
last I
of
checked,
movement.
it was 5%.
5-1, whatever.
But it's all good. It's all good. And what
Statistics.
you just said reminded me of, for any of my listeners out there that don't know, I have these blue spirit guide beings that like to communicate with me and give me messages. And a while back they gave me this message that I'm supposed to change the world. And like first I was just overwhelmed by the whole thing. And then I later, after I'd calmed down a little bit later, I said, how am I supposed to change the world? And they said, their answer was, the only way you can, by changing yourself.
That's it. That's it.
So Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world.
That's it.
So
It's
yeah.
just a decision.
But yes, I love that we put out that request to our listeners to just be a little more mindful out there and spread some goodness wherever you can. Say
Yeah.
good morning, hello, how are you? And when you say how are you too, like that drives me crazy when people just like, how are you? Like they have no intention of wanting to hear anything other than I'm good, how are you? Like when we're gonna ask how are you, can you do it with like genuineness, and if the person has something to share, like, listen to it.
Yeah. I guess you could also say something like, good morning, I hope you're well today, right? Like if you're in a busy line and you don't have time to hear the answer because you're at the post office and there's 40 people behind you all looking like they're going to go nuts. You know, maybe you could just wish someone well, you know?
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
This is a good one. I like this. I like where we're going with this.
All right. Do you have any more to say on it, or should we bring our guest on?
I am ready for our guest. So ready.
All right. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome, Tayana.
Thank you. I'm loving the conversation.
And good morning to you.
Good morning.
So I love this painting behind you. It's so gorgeous.
Yes, it's a little.
Oh, it's Brazil.
Yes.
That's cool. That's cool. But we both know who you are, but our audience doesn't necessarily know who you are. So we would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience, tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what keeps you passionate about what you're doing.
So my name is Tayana Carper. I am one of the founders of What's Juicin, which is I run with my wife. It's a weekly delivery company where we cold press different superfoods and herbs and have it delivered to your doorstep fresh in South Florida. I'm also a holistic health coach. So I do all of the health consultations with our new clients. And what keeps me passionate about what we do is I have a whole health journey myself, had a lot of different health issues. And for me growing up, having all these health issues into adulthood, I just kind of assumed that this was just part of who I was and that there was no, you try different medications, you try different things and nothing helps. And you just feel like, okay, this is just part of my personality. I have anxiety, or I am anxiety, or I have this skin issue or whatever it is. And you feel like it's your identity. And when I did get into juicing and holistic health, it completely changed my world, because I realized that we do have the power to heal ourselves and that we're not just trapped in the pharmaceuticals and all that. And so I'm very passionate about sharing that with other people, because we do have a lot more power than we think to, take care of ourselves and change things. So, yeah.
On that topic, like, as the healer over here, people often come to me because they think I'm going to heal them. But the truth is, only you can heal you. I call myself I'm the tour guide on your journey to healing. So you might not know what you need to do to heal yourself, but you truly are the only one that can heal yourself. And, when you mention the pharmaceutical companies, I just get like because none of what they're offering does any healing. Pharmaceuticals only manage the symptoms of what you've got going on. And then typically the one, whatever pharmaceutical they give you for the symptom that you have, it will then create more symptoms. And so then they'll give you another pharmaceutical to manage those symptoms, which then later down the road, and it just keeps going and going and going. And, I once had a client that was on, I think it was 17 medications.
Wow.
And, he was complaining that he was feeling dizzy all the time. And so I went and I put all of his medications in, what the side effects were. 11 out of the 17 medications had dizziness as a side effect. It's like, no wonder you're feeling dizzy.
Wow.
Maybe it's time to have a reassessment of, do you need to be on all of these? And so I love companies like you, because the nutrients in those juices that you're creating actually do facilitate the healing process within the body. And I wish more people would choose that path instead.
Yes. And side note, I love what you do as well. I'm always blown away every time Kelly or I have come to you. It's just incredible.
Thank you. And I'm like, and I will get off my soapbox now.
I can talk about that all day long, all of that. Everything.
It's a good soapbox. It's a good soapbox. But what I love about what Tayana and Kelly do is that it's a great stepping stone, right? Like, you're on 17 medications. please don't just stop taking them all at once. Like, have a conversation, right? Like, have a conversation and take those little baby steps to better health. It's getting like, I'm excited that the world is this conversation and our language is shifting into that better health talk. Wellness is now like, okay, we're finally talking about it, as opposed to like just work yourself to the bone and die. But I think a product like what you sell is such an easy way to take that first step. Like, we've been meaning to start back on our celery juice, and it's just making that trip to the grocery store that I can't seem to do. Right? It's just that once, like, I have all the things, and I want to do it, and then of course I start overthinking. Like, well, I have the hot press, the thing that mushes it, and then that takes out some of the nutrients. And I really just need a cold press, but I can't buy a cold press because it's a giant machine. Anyway, just what you offer is so incredible, and it's so easy, to have it delivered. Like, my gosh, health in a bottle, literally.
Yeah, and that it's so funny just because it seems like everybody I talk to as a new client, they're like, yeah, I own a juicer, but it's in the corner collecting dust. And I get it. Like, I'm not judging. It's a lot of work. Like, you got to go buy the produce, you got to clean it, chop it, prepare it, and then it's like, what recipe do I make? And then it goes bad, and it's like a whole. Totally get it.
Oh yeah, no, like it'll kill your self-esteem, because then you buy the things, but then you got busy, so you don't do it, and then, like you said, it goes bad, and now you feel guilty that it went bad.
It's a whole thing. I totally get it.
So let me ask you another question. I see you as such a success, and you guys are just so amazing with everything that you do, but I'm sure you had some doubts and things like that coming up. Can you talk to us a little bit about limiting beliefs and your personal journey with that? I know you talked about how you thought you were always like that, but talk to us from an entrepreneurial standpoint, because a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs, and like, sometimes you feel like you're the only one, right? Like, oh, is it just me having a bad month? Like, what limiting beliefs did you have to let go of to take your business to the level where it's at today?
I would say probably the number one was letting go of like the whole fear of failure, because especially when you're a perfectionist or you try really hard, you have a lot of pride in what you do. A lot of times we're afraid to take that next step because we don't want to screw it up. Like, or what if it's not received well, or it's this whole thing, and you just get in your head. And so, I wouldn't say that I'm 100% have gotten rid of all fear. It's an ongoing journey, and just of being present and recognizing like, oh, why am I procrastinating on doing this next thing? And then you realize it's like, shoot, I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up, or I'm afraid I'm not doing it right. So I think that's been one of the biggest things to overcome, is the fear of failure. And then I guess, just getting over what other people think, which sounds so basic, but, even just promoting ourselves on social media and putting up websites and stuff. It's like, I realized that I was very afraid of how is this going to be received, especially in the world of holistic health, because holistic health, if you Google anything in holistic health, they'll tell you you're nuts, that like, oh, the FDA doesn't approve of this or whatever. So it can be intimidating, like thinking, oh, how are people going to receive us? But yeah, that would be my best advice, is just believe in yourself. And if you're coming from a good intention, and that's the thing that also happens sometimes too with people, is when you're trying to like prove a point, even in holistic health, and it's going against all the popular whatever information that's out there from big pharma, whatever, sometimes it comes from like a place of aggression, like I'm right, you're wrong kind of thing. But if you can just kind of come from an intention of, all right, I'm just trying to help people, I'm here coming from love, it comes out a little better. So it's just been a journey of trying to like fine tune all of that stuff. It's ever going. We've went through some of the same spiritual growth type of training. So we're all on the same page on that, I think.
Yeah. And like everything you said, me as an entrepreneur can totally relate to every single piece of what you just said. And, like Graciela said, sometimes we feel like we're the only ones. We're lucky here. We have this tribe of a lot of entrepreneurs that we all know each other and support each other down here in South Florida. But some of, for a while I felt like I was alone, but, before I met all these other wonderful people that support us. But I love that we're here, because there can be people out in the middle of nowhere trying to be entrepreneurs, and physically they are alone, but they can know that, they aren't alone. We have this community here to reach out and understand. Like it requires a lot of bravery to be an entrepreneur and put yourself out there and try something new. And so kudos to you. Love what you're doing.
Amen. I was thinking when you were talking about fear, and it's like, I have a friend of mine that always says this, your mind, or your brain anyway, is such a bad neighborhood. And it's interesting because a lot, for me personally anyway, like any fear that I have is completely self-generated, right? Like no one has ever run up to my studio door, banged on it and said, "You're a horrible photographer. You should stop." Right? Like no one, right? Like no one's ever done that, like no one has ever said to me, "Oh, your work is terrible," right? But like you always have, or that Facebook Live was ridiculous, right? No one's ever said that. Where do I even get the idea, right? Where do we even come up with the idea that someone might not like what we have to say, right? Like,
so true.
You're like, I'm a gem. I'm a fucking gem. Like everything I say is amazing.
Right. And it's remembering that.
Listening to you, T. So keep going. You keep doing. I love it. You've been doing reels lately. I've seen you doing your TikTok stuff. You're out there like on a dock. You're always living your best life. Like the other day, someone sent me a video of like a park in South Florida, and it's like weaving through the trees, and it's so beautiful. And I'm like, man, you can't even hear the mosquitoes or feel the 100-degree heat. Like, and that's how I see you. Like, I'm like, I don't even know if she's enjoying the sand in between her toes right now, but you look so happy.
Yeah, well, that's good. I do feel very happy, and it's taken a lot to get to this place for sure. But yeah, no, I really have come to realize it's about enjoying the process and not getting to that end point, and just not being so serious about the results. Like, we're so judgmental with like, did it work out the way we want to, and good and bad, like, did we succeed the way and at the end of the day, it's all a learning process. So might as well have fun.
You're an inspiration. So I just want to encourage you to keep going, because the better you do, the better I do. So thank you.
You guys are both huge inspirations as well. So thank you. Seriously, you guys both are amazing.
Thank you. And speaking of inspiration, a lot of us take a lot of inspiration from the books that we read. So we're curious if you have a book that you would recommend to our audience that we can add to our goddess library of books.
So my book is definitely The Power of Now. I don't know if you guys read that book or not.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, out of all the different spiritual trainings and things I've learned, this book seems to really just sum it up in one book. And it's just about being present and enjoying right now. And today we get so caught up in our head about tomorrow or yesterday. And it's really, for me, it's about, the biggest thing I took away from it is that, I don't know, there's this line in it that it says that all the suffering that we take on in life is really just coming down to when we resist what is, when we don't accept whatever it is. So it's like, if something happens bad, like you get in a car accident or something terrible happens, it's like we can throw a fit about it and be miserable the rest of the day, or we can just accept, whatever happened, this is what happened and it is what it is, and we're going to deal with it and move on to the next. And I feel like that sums up life, if you can approach life that way.
Absolutely.
So, totally right. This morning I had a thing happened that I didn't want to happen. And when it happened, my kids were around and I told them about it. And so I was driving them to camp this morning, and I could feel like their tension, right? And I was like, guys, I know that you heard what happened, but like, don't hang on to it. Like, open the windows. We're all just going to let it all go. Just let it all go. Right. just let it go. And that's it, and then we just, and it's so interesting because, they're so impressionable, they're 14. They have like their own personalities. Like, they're not that little, but definitely they take their cues from me. Right. And I think this is true for our whole community, right? Is that we take our cues from each other. So many people post on Facebook, like, should I be upset about this ? And it's like it's like you're waiting for permission, So I gave my kids permission to not be upset about what happened that didn't go quote unquote my way, because at the end of the day, it is the way, it is the right way, it is the thing that was supposed to happen. And it just wasn't what I was expecting. So release expectations, release judgment, and just let it go. And we did. We opened all the windows and all of it just flew outside. And
I love that.
it's
I
really
love that. I love that. And what you said is 100%. I believe as well, is that like, because it happened, that's what was meant to happen. That's not maybe what we wanted to happen, but that's what happened, and that's what was meant to happen.
That's it. So one of the things that comes up a lot for us here too is like, okay, you can see how your limiting beliefs were holding you back and how you let them go. But like you said, it's always an ongoing process. So, and without revealing any big, trade secrets or anything, but like, what do you have a next step? Like, what are you looking forward to? Where is your evolution going? And do you have something that's holding you back from that? Right? Like all of our guests are such superstars. And I always want our guests or our audience to know that like, hey, we're people too, right? Like our guests are people too, Tell us a little bit about what you have going forward.
Next step. That's funny. So I actually literally just made a website this weekend. So my next step is I'm going to be stepping more into holistic health coaching. So I want to actually build a clientele of holistic health clients. And we're still going to do What's Juicin' and all that. We're completely blessed, grateful that we do have an amazing staff that's running it for us and doing all that aspect. So that kind of gives me more time to focus on things that I'm passionate about. And I realize that the part of the business that excites me the most is when I get to talk to new clients and help them kind of like navigate their health, but it's only a quick little consultation. And I used to do nutritional counseling and fitness training and all that. So I've done the whole coaching thing. So this is just going to be a different realm. Different but the same at the same time, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. So I think what's kept me from doing it is really just that whole, like, when you start a new project and you get that like overwhelming feeling like, all right, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to make a website, I got to get clients, I got to start networking for this, like, and you start thinking of all the lists. And so I guess what I'm trying to do is just take it one step at a time. The biggest thing that I've realized that helps me is when I get organized, because we tend to like go into like overdrive mode. So just getting on a piece of paper, like what the steps are, and just making some basic goals, breaking it down, and just trying not to get overwhelmed by the process before I get there, kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of next step right now. I'm excited.
That is exciting. That is exciting.
Yeah. I'm excited for sure.
Congratulations. I'll have to put me on your mailing list. I'm ready. I'm ready. Put me on.
Done.
I want to hear all about it. We're going to need a whole new one-to-one. I love it. I think it's really cool.
Yes.
What I love most is that you're following your heart, right? You're following your passion. Like if you're doing that, what could go wrong?
Yeah, I do feel that way. So you're right. What can go wrong? So one day at a time, it'll all work out.
Beautiful.
And I think passion is everything. So many people are out there doing the job because this is going to provide the most money for me, or this is, it's just the easy thing to do. And I think the sad part is the world really needs all of our passions. Like whatever that passion is inside of you is the gift that you're supposed to bring to this world. So I'm super excited that you're not keeping it to yourself and that you're bringing it out there and sharing it with everybody.
I'm very excited. It just seems like every time I talk to a new client for the juicing company, everybody seems to have the same exact struggles. Like there's 1,000 products out there. Which product do I take? Or there's 1,000 diets, and there's so many ways people are just like frozen because they don't know which step to take. Like, and it's overwhelming. And I'm excited to help people with that, because I get it. If it's not your job, if you're not in the field of health and you're working on whatever all day, something else, you come home and you're like, what am I supposed to eat? And it's like, it's a whole thing. Like, so I am excited to try to help some people really simplify that and enjoy it, because it becomes torturous for a lot of people because it's the overwhelming factor and I'm doing it wrong and I'm not getting the results I want to get right away. And I feel like a lot of people need that support to understand that it's going to be okay. We got this.
Honestly, I would love it if you had like an in-home program, like, hi, I'm going to come stay with you for a month. Like, I would love it. I would set up a room in my house and I would be like, she's coming over and she's just going to prepare everything and tell me what to do and teach me how to live my life. I'm ready.
That's next level coaching for sure. I love to do like the platinum bundle option.
It's just 30 days, T, just 30 days. It'll be super fun. I want to go a little bit. Is it okay if I go a little bit off script? I think you have.
Totally. Yeah.
So I see that you are so very well traveled, and you know, Juliet and I are launching a retreat series, and we're going to start traveling internationally with our fans and our friends and clients and things like that. So I'd love to hear from you. What international trip have you taken that has really impacted your holistic health, your business, your life? Like what has been the most impactful for you? Because you've done a lot.
Impacted my. That's a good one. I mean, I don't know. For some reason, the first place that came to my mind was Costa Rica. Just because something about like, have you guys been?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Like waterfalls. They have these thermal baths that are the volcanic water comes through and they form these natural thermal baths. I don't know, just something about like connecting in nature there. It's just like absolutely beautiful. So Costa Rica, definitely, I'd say that's like my number one as far as like places to go if you're looking to like connect with nature and ground. It's incredible.
Like you said, it's so important to connect with nature, especially when we live in the city.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Colombia was beautiful. It also had a lot of thermal baths. Well, what's that?
I think you have some kind of delay or something.
Yeah, but Colombia was beautiful. Same thing, thermal baths.
I think.
Yeah. It's delaying on my end, but yeah. Yeah, it keeps cutting out. Sorry.
Anyway, what I was saying is, you know, those of us that live in the city, it's super important for us to reconnect with nature, and nature soothes the soul. We need it. You know, we are part of this earth, and I think we forget that when we get caught up in the day-to-day city concrete tech life, and you know, being in the outdoors absolutely heals. So
it's just so it's you know, I think being in nature is one of those things that you don't even have to think about. Like when you are there, I think your body kind of kicks into, oh right, this is where I'm supposed to be, and it just does what it does. I mean, the other day, I love me a TikTok, and I saw a TikTok the other day that was like a 20-something sitting next to grandma on the porch, and it was like grandma was totally right. Sitting on the porch and doing nothing is the bomb, you know? And there's a lot to be said for just being in nature.
Absolutely. Well, we're hitting wrap up time here. And the last question we always ask our guest is there one parting gift you would like to leave with our audience?
Yes. Well, I would say one parting gift. Let's just say whatever it is that you're doing, entrepreneur, whatever. I think the number one thing is just to enjoy today, enjoy what you're doing. We sometimes get so bogged down in doing the things that we feel that we need to do, etc. We forget the joy and like the day-to-day tasks. So just enjoy whatever it is that you're doing. Just pay attention to how you feel and keeping that positive vibe. And if something doesn't make you feel good, listen to that feeling and know that that's for a reason, and that you want to kind of guide yourself to doing the things that do make you feel good. And yeah, that would be my parting gift.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Tayana. It has been wonderful having you on the show, and keep doing what you're doing out there, spreading the health.
T, you bring me life. Thank you so much. Thank you for being you.
I feel the same. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me on here. Really enjoyed it, and enjoy the rest of your days.
You too.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Love you, love you. Remember, you listened to this episode and you committed to saying good morning, good afternoon, or good evening when you get out in the world. So don't forget, start from love.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.